What's up, fellow comic book fans? So I've actually been doing some shorts recently on New Comic Book Wednesdays, for which, if you don't know what those are, every week new comic book releases on Wednesdays. So I've been doing YouTube shorts of those, but I'm at a 3-minute limit on those. So sometimes on some of the bigger weeks, I can't really essentially fit everything in that I want to say about these books and give further context. So I thought I'd do a new series now. So this will be episode 1 of my New Comic Book Wednesdays, and it's just going to be a casual conversation. Books that came out this week, books that I am buying, maybe books that I'm looking forward to, and just other stuff related to comics, whatever I'm feeling that week. I'm fairly new to comics myself. Absolute Batman is what got me into comics a couple months ago, and then that just kind of branched out into all the comic books I'm reading now. So again, hope you guys enjoy this. If you like comments or comics yourself, feel free to join me in the comments, that books that you got this week that you're reading, or any other kind of content that you'd like me to talk about during these sessions. So with that being said, let's get to the comic books that I bought this week. It was actually a fairly small week in terms of comic book individual issues, but I did pick up a few comic book trades, which I'll get into what the difference are between individual issues and comic book trades if you don't know about them. But by far, the biggest one this week, Absolute Batman Annual #1. I actually read this last night. To be honest, first, I absolutely love the Absolute Batman series that's written by Scott Snyder. Again, this is what brought me back into comics, or brought me back to comics. And this one was not written by him, and I just honestly thought it was okay. It was nothing special. It really just, there's three stories in this book. The main one being he is fighting this white supremacist group, and these 3 stories are like way back in his past, not currently during the run that's going right now. So really, it just kind of made me really excited to go back and read the continuing arc. Absolute Batman 14's coming out in a couple weeks, and that's going to be the final big fight with him and Bane. Next one, this is one of my absolute favorite issues that is out right now. It is the Mortal Thor #3, and this is actually a continuation act. So there's been 3 issues that have come out so far for the Mortal Thor, and Act 1 was the Immortal Thor, which was written by Al Ewing as well. Al Ewing wrote this. That was 25 issues long, and I actually picked up one of the trades for that volume, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. I read this last night as well. Really good. He's kind of fighting these construction workers. So again, this is the Mortal Thor after what the Immortal Thor was. So now he's pretty much human now with not all of his powers in stake. These are the Sons of the Serpent, which was kind of cool because I actually just read Mark Waid's Daredevil, and the Sons of the Serpent came at the end of that. So that was a really fun issue. Really love the Mortal Thor. Highly recommend that. And again, there's only been 3 issues, so you'll likely, if you go to your local comic shop, should be able to find all those 3 issues if you want. Now we have 4 X-Men Age of Revelation comics. This is the current X-Men comics that are going on for the next couple months, and I believe are stopping at the end of the year. And then next year will be a new arc for the X-Men that is a continuation of this story. But this one, Undeadpool #1. Obviously, you can see in the background, I'm a big Deadpool fan. I read this one last night as well. This was really interesting because the premises of this is this character named Revelation, who is the heir to Apocalypse. If you're an X-Men fan, if you've seen, the animated shows or read the comics, you know who Apocalypse is. Actually, there was a movie in the past 10 or 12 years where Oscar Isaac played Apocalypse in one of the live-action X-Men. But the heir to Apocalypse, Revelation, essentially set off this X-virus bomb in the United States that pretty much killed everybody, and then the people who did not die turned into mutants, or mutants turned into kind of like mutated forms of themselves. So it was interesting to see where they were going to go with Deadpool, with his Undeadpool version, because he obviously has a healing factor. And this one, and there's going to be spoiler alerts in this as well, so if you don't want spoilers, turn off the video. I'm sorry about that, but I just wanted to explain it a little bit. But Undeadpool #1, he essentially is a zombie in this one, but he still has his mental cognition for his Deadpool, so he's cracking jokes the whole time, but he just doesn't control his body. So his body's like feeding on all these people while he's just joking throughout it, but he eventually does at the end of this supposedly gets his mind back with this. So this was actually a pretty fun one to read. This was probably one of my favorite X-Men Age of Revelation comics so far. Now, next one, Cloak or Dagger #1. I don't have much knowledge on Cloak or Dagger outside of, I think they made a Hulu show on it a couple of years ago, or when was that? I don't even remember, maybe like 10 years ago or so. I remember watching it. I don't even know if I finished it, but this will be interesting to read. I don't have much background on them, so we'll see how that one goes. And then the final 2, Expatriate X-Men #1. I believe we got Kamala Khan up front there. Who else we have? Colossus. Maybe Mystique is in there as well. So we'll see where this one goes. There's a lot of groups in this X-Men Age of Revelation comic, so I've been enjoying most of them so far. See how that one turns out. And then the Avengers make an appearance in this one. We've got the X-Avengers #1. So it looks like we got Ant-Man in there. And again, with the X-Virus, with it either killing or mutating people, I think you see Hawkeye right there. Older version. I'll try to screen in a little more. It looks like he has like 4 arms, and the bow even almost looks like it's going like 2 different ways with 2 arrows. So looks like he got mutated. So that should be a little interesting. And this is also the last of all of these comics that I just showed you were #1 issues for these Age of Revelations, meaning they're the first stories for these characters and these teams. And this is the final week, I believe, of these issue #1s, and then starting next week we are going to get issue #2s now of these characters that have been going in this Age of Revelation. And now to the trades. So I was showing you individual issues of comics. Those are just individual little stories, about 25 pages or so. And trade paperbacks, are collections of these. Essentially, they are collections of, I'm trying to get all these. So this is just an example. We've got 5 individual comics right here. What a trade is going to do is it's going to collect them all into one and essentially make a book of them. And this is what it looks like. It's the same exact size. And a good news to this, and one thing you're going to run into if you get into comics, is you'll realize really quickly you have to figure something out about storage, because since comic books are paper, you can't store them like on a bookshelf like books. So you kind of have to get these cardboard casings with the kind of like what you would do with like Pokemon cards or baseball cards. You put them in these casings, and they need to go in a comic book box. So it's hard to store them. So the good news with trades is you can put them on a bookshelf. You can just essentially keep stacking them. So, and I think you actually save a couple bucks on these. This one was $17.99, and each of the individual issues for Mortal Thor are $4.99. So if I collected 5 individual issues, that would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. This one was 18 bucks. So saved about $7. So you can save a little bit on money on these. But I got the Immortal Thor again. This was Act 1 to the Mortal Thor that's out right now. So you've got Immortal Thor, which was 25 issues by Al Ewing, which then went into the Mortal Thor. I collected the first 4 volumes of the Immortal Thor previously. So I had the first like 20 issues via those trades. And then I collected the individual issues for the Immortal Thor so I could read this live, the Mortal Thor. But since this last book was out and for storage purposes, I just went ahead and collected this one as well. So now I have the entire The Immortal Thor run in the trade backs, and it'll be easier for storage. And maybe I'll essentially divest those last 5 individual comics of the Immortal Thor later, just again for storage purposes. So that was the first trade I got. My actually local comic shop was running a 50% off sale yesterday for older trades, and they define that as like, I think 2 weeks or older. So I ended up getting like 4 more trades. Another one that I am currently reading, written by Al Ewing again, who did the Immortal Thor. He actually, and you're going to find this out when you read comics. You're going to follow writers, you're going to follow artists, and you're going to really like a comic, and then you're going to look back and you're going to see that they did similar comics of characters that also you might like. This one being the Immortal Hulk. So this came out, I believe, from, I think it was 2019 to 2021, somewhere in that time frame. But this was a 50-issue run of the Immortal Hulk. So I got volumes 7 and 8 right here. So this is about 10 issues in these 2 trades. Again, this was a 50-issue run. I've collected up until issue, I guess this final one, volume. I think there's 10 or 11 volumes in this. Really good comic. If you like the Hulk, if you like Marvel, this also adds a ton of horror elements in it, especially in the first couple issues. I hope that keeps going the rest of the way. Kind of works well for Halloween, spooky season right now as well. So if you're into that, again, spooky season horror stuff, Hulk, Marvel, highly recommend the Immortal Hulk. You also don't need I like to support local comic shops, so I always go to my local shops to see if they have them first. But if you don't, actually Barnes & Noble has a ton in the graphic novel section. You can go find these trades as well, so go check it out there. Maybe you can find them. And then my first individual Image comics. I've just been into Marvel and DC recently, but I started with Transformers the past week. I collected the trade to that one. I think it was volume 2 that I collected because I heard Robert Kirkman, who was the creator and writer of Invincible and The Walking Dead, was the new writer for Transformers starting at issue 25. The first 24 issues, though, I heard fantastic things about. The creator of Deadpool, Robert Liefeld, I think I saw a TikTok of him saying that was his favorite comic run. So that was the first that is currently going. So that's where I first got in my mind. Then I saw the Kirkman thing. So I eventually went back to start collecting the trades for the first 24 issues for Transformers, so I need to collect a couple of those as well. But what I found out recently is there's actually 2 more character stories within this Energon universe. One is also written by Robert Kirkman as well, called Void Rivals. This is volume 2, so I need to collect volumes 1 and 3. What the comic shop guy told me is essentially this is like a alien species group that exists within this Energon universe with the Transformers. So I don't know much about that. I'm excited to read it. I need to get volume 1 to read it first because volume 2 is issues 7 through 12. So I obviously need to read 1 through 6 before starting this. So that's Robert Kirkman doing Void Rivals, and Robert Kirkman also writing the Transformers next story or arc starting with issue 25. And then the other group is G.I. Joe, and this one is written by Joshua Williamson, which actually that was the first thing that caught my title with this. Is Joshua Williamson is one of my favorite writers right now. He's currently writing the Superman run in the main Prime DCU, not Absolute Superman, the main Superman line, and it's my favorite DC, just main DC line outside the Absolute universe. So when I saw Joshua Williamson was writing this, I got really excited, and then I asked the comic shop, and he's like, yeah, G.I. Joe, Void Rivals, and Transformers are all in this conjoined Energon universe right now. So they, unlike Void Rivals and Transformers, which are both, I believe, on issue 25 right now, G.I. Joe is only on issue 13, is coming out next week, so it's kind of like half the time behind, but still within the universe. It's on, this is the first trade that's come out. I believe volume 2 of the trade comes out in a few weeks. So G.I. Joe, Transformers, Void Rivals, heard great things about these. All connected in this Energon universe. That's my first individual Image comic. So really exciting week for comic books. Again, it wasn't the biggest week for individual issues, but I got a bunch of trades this week. So let me know in the comments what stuff you liked about episode 1. Let me know what you want me to talk about in future episodes so I can try to incorporate them in episode 2. But I had a good time with this. I hope you guys had fun. Again, I want this just to be a casual conversation. So look forward to seeing you guys in episode 2.